Hey everyone, how's it going? I hope everyone has had a great weekend. We're continuing on in our Mastering the Basics series, and this time we're going to move on to the topic of sleep. So we've covered a bunch of information about related to food, which I think is enough for people to work on and digest and nail down on the food topic for now. But now it's time to move on to what I would consider probably the next most important thing that we're going to tackle when it comes to nailing down the basics of your health and wellness, and that is sleep. So, sleep is a tricky thing. It's hard to nail down. A lot of people struggle with it. For some people, it comes very natural. But there are a number of things that I think we can do, especially when you're first getting started out, to try and improve your sleep a little bit. And a lot of people put a lot of focus on, the 10 or so minutes leading up to bed and what are they doing, right? And because I think that's really when sleep begins, right? It's right when you're trying to fall asleep, and some has to be, when you have sleep struggles, it has to be something around that time or during sleep that's really causing you a lot of issues. But what we've learned is that actually getting a good night's sleep actually begins right when you wake up. And what you're doing as soon as you get out of bed is going can have an impact on that night's sleep. So, uh, doing certain things when we wake up in the morning is going to throughout the day, which we'll talk about some more, is going to impact how your night's sleep is going to happen. And so, starting out in the morning time, I think there are a couple things we need to pay attention to. For one, people who can sometimes struggle with sleep will have erratic wake up times, right? A lot of people uh, will have what's called social jet lag. So they wake up consistently at a given time during the week, so Monday through Friday, because of work, right? Or kids or school or whatnot, right? So they get up at a certain time during the week, and that's pretty much consistent 5 days a week. And then Saturday and Sunday come, and they're all of a sudden waking up a lot later because they um, they have social events at night, right? They're staying up later, they're going out, they're doing social activities in the evening, so they don't and they don't have to get up, right? So they would maybe if they were left on their own, they would naturally just wake up later anyways. Um, but they're most of the time it's because of social activities and they're doing stuff during evening hours, and that means that they're up later, and then they wake up a little bit later. And then this causes kind of this jet lag because you've shifted your body's clock a little bit, right? To wake up later, and then all of a sudden Monday comes and you try to back into what it needs to be for the work week or the school week, and then you spend a couple days trying to realign everything, and then you get back to it on the weekends again. That pattern repeats itself over and over again. So one of the things that we can do is just have a somewhat consistent wake time, right? So a lot of people are like, you have to wake up at the same time every single morning, right? 7 days a week. Well, I personally give myself a little bit of leeway, right? I do wake up a little bit earlier during the week, and then I wake up maybe an hour or so later on the weekends. Again, just because we don't have school, we don't have to take the kids off and stuff like that. So I give myself about an hour a weekend. But within an hour of my normal wake time, kind of plus or minus an hour, I wake up at some point, right? Naturally, right? So even during the week, I'm not that far off from what would be my natural wake time. And so trying to have a somewhat consistent wake time is really good, right? So give yourself an hour window or so to wake up, right? And try to be consistent about that, right? Because as we're going to discuss more towards what we do in the evening in another video, um, our hormones that are responsible for waking us up and making us tired work in patterns, right? They expect certain things. So if you just constantly disrupting that pattern, our hormones for sleeping and waking up can get all messed up, right? And that kind of just throws everything off, and we're all screwed up, right, from a sleep perspective. So doing a consistent bedtime and a consistent wake time within an hour or so can really help provide some less less chaos to your sleep and wake cycle, and give your body more stability, and know when to produce the right hormones at the right time. It'll help you fall asleep and help you wake up properly. So again, when we're talking about the morning, try to have a somewhat consistent wake time within an hour. The next thing we're going to talk about is trying to see sunlight. Again, a lot of experts will say we need to see some kind of sunlight within 30 to 50 minutes or whatever, right? Um, I'm not going to be specific, right? Sometimes it's several hours before I actually see the sun after I wake up, and that's partly due because right now in the wintertime, I wake up and it's still dark out for several hours. You can't really do about that. So when you have extremes as far as sunlight is concerned, like you have to do the best you can, right? So I typically, at some point in the morning when I'm bringing the kids to school, I will be outside seeing the sun and getting some sunlight in my eyes. And the sunlight in your eyes is a really good indicator to your body that, okay, it's again, it's setting this hormonal cascade of your sleep and wake, sleep, oh, your wakefulness and your sleepiness hormones. So seeing that sunlight at some point in the morning within a few hours of waking up helps kick off that cascade properly at the right time, right? So it helps you feel more awake in the morning, and it also will help you feel more sleepy at night. So seeing that sunlight at some point in the morning, give yourself a couple hours whenever you can. Just hop outside. You don't have to look at the sun. You don't have to do anything specific. Even on a cloudy day when you can't see the sun, it's still going to help you. So hop outside for a few minutes, get some sunlight. Maybe just go for a quick walk, check your email, do something, just keep yourself occupied for a few minutes while you're outside, and then that's going to help with sleep as well. That's something you can do in the morning. The other thing to be mindful of in the morning that a lot of people are consuming is coffee and caffeine. So we consume a lot of coffee. I consume coffee. I like it. I like caffeine, all that fun stuff. But I'm very mindful about how much I'm consuming, right? So I don't go overboard with it. I have at most 2 cups of coffee in the morning, and almost always they are before noon. And then that personally allows me to fall asleep at night. But a lot of people consume a lot more caffeine. If you're having 4 or 5 cups, it's extending out into the afternoon. This caffeine intake can really affect your sleep because the half-life is a little bit of a long time. So you want to be mindful of how much caffeine you're taking in, particularly coffee, but other caffeinated drinks as well. But we should be sticking mostly to coffee, as we talked about with minimally processed foods in our other videos. So sticking and being mindful of that caffeine intake. If you're having a lot of caffeine, trying to scale that back. If you're having it later into the afternoon, trying to move it forward. And again, this takes a little bit of a individualization. I know a lot of people who can drink caffeine in the afternoon and be completely fine. That's If that's you, that's great. But if you find you're struggling with your sleep and your caffeine intake is either very large or is trickling out into the afternoon, try and scale that back and see if that helps your sleep as well. So those would be 3 things that I would keep in mind as far as morning time to help with your sleep later in the evenings. First is having somewhat of a consistent wake time within an hour. Second is trying to get some sunlight at some point in the morning within a few hours of waking up. Just popping outside for a few minutes to see the sun, even on a cloudy day, it's worthwhile. And then 3 is being mindful about your caffeine intake, how much you're actually consuming, and how late you're actually consuming it in the day. So try those 3 things. Work on those 3 things for your first 3 tips about sleep, and then we'll move on to some other stuff a little bit later on in the future videos. If you're enjoying this Mastering the Basics series, please support my newsletter. I send out all this information for free, and if you want to keep up with the series that's happening, please go to my newsletter and sign up, and I will email you whenever I release a video in the series. So you can go to rjbhealth.coach, click on the newsletter link at the top, or you can scan the QR code here that you see in the video, and it'll be brought right to that page, and you can enter your email address and sign up for the newsletter. And if you need help tackling some of the topics, you need more one-on-one help with this Mastering the Basics series, please go to my website, rjbhealth.coach. Click on the homepage. On the homepage, there's a button that says Schedule a Discovery Call. Click on that, and then you'll be brought right to the form to fill out. And I will get back to you. We can talk a little bit more about coaching. So until next week, have a good week, and I'll talk to you all soon.